my gorn, it's the Star Trek 3 phaser. Took them long enough, but it's finally here. I'm so excited. I couldn't wait to unwrap it and play with it without doing a unboxing video and check it out. There is the Diamond Select one online, but it's biased. It's right from the company. They picked the perfect one, so we'll see what one looks like right out of the box. I'll start with the Try Me. Sounds pretty good. Interesting choice of packaging with the TOS-ness going on. Talks about it on the back. TOS stuff advertised. Disruptor. Enterprise B. Interesting choices. The usual standard Star Trek packaging. So let's check it open. For this review, we're going to talk about this guy and compare it to a Roddenberry and a couple other different Star Trek 3 phasers, and we'll also compare it to the previous releases of phasers, at least the Wrath of Khan versions, and motion picture, at least for sound creativity. Come here, you. So there's that. Let's just set you over here. And on the back, we've got our set of literature and instructions. From what I've seen, it just operates just like the others, except it doesn't have an activation thing on the Phaser 2. And all those guys. Is that the A? No, it's just the 1701. HD, Klingon Bird of Prey, Nemesis Enterprise. And those guys. Get rid of that. Instructions. How to do all that. We'll figure it out. That'll be fine. So while we're opening this up, I'm getting the news from Comic-Con as we speak, and I just saw the Anovos phaser rifle. Holy crap, that thing looks so cool. But apparently it's made up by somebody else. I don't think that's their actual release one, so it could just be the display one. But we'll see if they decide to go. That one all lit up and everything, so we'll see if the actual one has lighting and sound functions and everything. Ugh. Ugh. Like, here we go. Used to be good at these. Always unboxing the Playmates toys in like a minute as a kid with like their 50 of these little wire thingies. All right, here we go. Phaser time. Best time. So, looking at it, it's kind of a dull, little sparkly metallic. This isn't quite black. It's kind of sparkly, dark gray. Kind of interesting. Let's check out our screw holes. Not too bad. This one's sticking up a bit. That one's sticking up. Seam line's a little bizarre, but I guess from a plastic toy. The TOS phaser was easily, or more easily hideable than this kind of curve. So I guess I can kind of see that. Let's definitely take out, whoop, Try Me tab, and then it's got a Try Me hole. One of the first error, I don't want to call it an error, but glaring omissions, not really glaring, whatever, omissions I noticed is that there should be a inset trench along the side here, kind of like a reverse mid-plate, if you will. Ooh, it's neat. And then there's the Try Me hole, but apparently if you disassemble it, it's pretty easily sand-offable, and there's actually an inset one in there, so it should be easy to create one. This could be because you can just, if they're gonna do the FASA prototype version, maybe this just top is a completely different one, and they'll be able to just plop it on, and it has that mid-plate with the metal, or mid-plate basically with the metal trim on it. But there we got our phaser. We got an on-off switch, so let's turn it on. Ooh, hey, that's nifty. Let's do this first. So that's cool. Transporter room. Thank you. Up your shaft. So it looks like it's that sound effect. Interesting, that's kind of bizarre. You can see clear through to the circuit board and the LED in there. The real one is kind of and I'll show it on this other prop we'll compare it to, but it's this big 4-thing LED, this like light box LED, and there's kind of a pattern in there that it kind of alternates or goes around or however it's programmed. But that's kind of cool. It starts off with this instead of on the Wrath of Khan phaser, it would just have the 2 flashing ones on the side. But let's go setting 1. Pretty cool. Setting 2. Oh, that's neat. Let's see if it idles or if they just stay on. No. There we go. Nifty. Setting 3. Setting 4. Interesting. And of course, everyone's favorite. Something like that. Is that it? Oh, there we go. That's an interesting sound effect. Oh, it stays on. That's kind of bizarre. I guess that's because of the... Lots of beeps and boops with this one. It's very, very 80s. Let's plug it in. Interesting. Nice Star Trek 3 sound effects. Let's try it on this one. Interesting. So it kind of, I noticed the LED, looks like it kind of glowed with the sound. I don't know if that's a battery thing or what, but I noticed in the Try Me, when it was in the Try Me package, it kind of, the LED flickered on and off, and I was a little worried it was like the TOS phaser, but that's cool that it just stays on. So yeah, there's your basic Star Trek 3 phaser. Interesting, it's like the stun sound, and then the rest of them is kind of unique, but then the rest of them are kind of the same, which is bizarre. And they said they had limited material to choose from, but ironically, when they did this, they took more liberties with these sounds. Let's use this one, it has more batteries. And that's the movie one. Like, they have kind of a diversity to them, whereas this one, they're pretty much all the same, which is interesting because this shoots more often in the series than these do. You see it again in, of course, the final mission where it kind of shoots regular next-gen phaser beam, and then you see it again in the episode of Deep Space Nine where Bashir gets whatever persona, what's the word I'm looking for, possessed by that like alien criminal, and then you see it fire a weird purple beam. So they could have shoehorned those sound effects in there and it would have been cool, but I guess people would have been like, people could have said, oh, it's a next-gen sound, but who knows. So interesting sound choices. The self-destruct sounds a little bizarre. It sounds like an 80s toy, which I guess kind of works because it is kind of an 80s toy. So, but overall it's cool. It's very light, but it's very, you know, toy-y, of course. Kind of neat to compare them. Let's see, this guy, hopefully it has some batteries left. No, well, barely. Well, regardless. There you go. They kind of look neat next to each other. Let's get them all on self-destruct with all the lights on. Can blow up this one too. We'll blow them up at the same time. Should be an epic explosion. I really love this sound effect. It's neat. It's like with the transporter sound, it's like the matter is turning into energy, kind of. That's the way I think of it. Very interesting choice there. So yeah, we got those guys. Then let's bring out a comparison of a Roddenberry phaser. Now this one I got finished, but it was just the body and everything. And it was finished pretty well, but I decided to, gut one of these guys and put the electronics in this. So you can see it'll have the same functionality, but you can, oh, this is that real LED I was talking about, and you can see it kind of pulsating in there. Although I just have, well, it's very sensitive. That. So one of the things I've seen people do is either cut down one of these LEDs and put it on top of this, or take and frost this up, sand it down, use the frosting stuff, and then build a little plastic frame around it so it looks more accurate to this, yes, we hear you, LED. And then this one I put a Radio Shack sound thing with a similar sound effect. Nope. Yeah, close enough. So let's get these guys out of the way. You can see they look pretty spot on from what I can see. Of course, I'm staring into the camera. I haven't really looked at them very closely. But you can see how this one's kind of more of a metallic color and the P1 is black, whereas it's kind of gray on this. Still looks kind of cool. And these are metallic sticker strips, so that'll be easy to replace those. It's interesting how this is just a switch. It's just like a switch sticking up with a on and off function symbols. So that'll be interesting to replace. There we go, you can kind of see it there. So that's a Roddenberry. Just for kicks, here's an old, I don't remember what the maker of this is, an old 80s version to go with the 80s props with the 80s sound effects. And here's a really crappy Richard Coyle recast that many years ago. This was the first one I ever, or I think I got this one first, but then I got this from somebody, and the parts were terribly miscast. Like the P1's bigger than or the P1 top's bigger than the P1 bottom. But since it was kind of crappy, I decided, oh, let's weather it and make it a final mission phaser. Of course, this isn't the material. This is like burlap. The other one's like a leather. But it kind of works as a nice background crapazoid stunt phaser or whatever. But let's see if we can get all these guys in the same shot. Get in there, use Star Trek 3. And because Star Trek 3, let's throw in a comm there. And this wonderful collage of Star Trek movie-ness. So there you have it. Final thoughts. Pretty cool. It's definitely a good job. It's kind of some weird choices, especially with the sound effects and stuff like that. But overall, I think it's a fun toy, and it's pretty easily upgradable. I mean, you can just pop out the screw hole thingies, get it open. You can add some nuts and weights and things like that on the inside, make it a lot heavier, fill all these in, stuff like that, fix this guy so it looks more like the real button. Oh, that's neat. That's cool that it makes a little noise when it shuts off. Fill in these screw hole thingies and stuff like that. And oh, hey, look at that. It doesn't have to be on and it still makes the noise. That's kind of cool. So it's continuing to impress me. The seam line kind of turned me off, but it's slowly redeeming itself. So I'm definitely going to keep one just as it is and then fix one up, for cosplaying and stuff, and fix one up to be more like the actual filming prop. But there you go. Star Trek 3 Diamond Select Phaser. I'll set you there with your compatriots in our phaser collage, and just hope we don't get vaporized from a giant overload explosion. Well, looks like it's time for me to go, and what better way to send us all off than to blow us up. So without further ado, the juggling of the explosions, ladies and gentlemen.